Hi, I'm Rob from rcdrone.com, and in this video we're going to be mounting the motors to the Flying Cinema XL prototype I have here. Basically, we need to get this motor onto this tube boom that comes off of the aircraft like that with some hardware and make it look like this. And pretty straightforward once you see how it's done, and we'll jump right into it. Alright, we have the Flying Cinema XL stuff laid on the table here. Let's get started with this motor. As you can see, the bottom of the motor is pretty standard for brushless motor. You've got 4 spots to screw into to mount it to the quadcopter. Now, Flying Cinema uses these 3D printed pieces. Top and bottom are the same. Basically, they go together like that. Tube goes through right there, carbon fiber tube. It's got these little notches in there that go into those pre-drilled holes in the carbon fiber tube there to stop any rotation from happening, to keep everything nice and level. Flying Cinema is very modular. These are the same ones they use for like a 1000 kV motor range. We are using much bigger motor, kV 380 by Tiger Motors. So as you can see, there is where the 4 holes are in the center to mount the motor. And those are the 4 screw holes that are tapped into the bottom of the motor to mount into. As you can see, they're way too spread far apart to go in there. To solve this, we're going to use the Flying Cinema has these plates, adapter plates. It comes with 4 of these plates and then some screws, small screws and then even smaller screws. So we will take that, as you can see we line it up like that. Let's see here. Just like that. You can see all 4 screws in the bottom of that motor will line up to screw into. We're going to use the smaller of the 2 screws out of the pack to screw into that with a little bit of Loctite, light grade Loctite, and we will end up with this. As you can see, it's screwed in there. I Loctited it already. This is ready to go. Now it has those 4 threaded tapped areas that fit quite nicely into there. It's a little dark down with the camera angle, but everything lines up now to mount that. Now as you can see, with the smaller motors that go on here, they don't hang over it as much, so they're actually smaller and in on top of this block here. And these grooves on this side are designed for the wires to come through and then go down into the pipe back to the frame. This being a motor that the whole thing hangs over, they're not as protected, and using that adapter bracket, it's 45 degrees off angle there. So it actually ends up being kind of like off to the side, but that's okay because we're going to use our shrink tubing to go around the wires at the end anyway. So basically we're going to mount that. Each one of these you'll notice has a little where it breaks off of the 3D mold. I like to put the wires on the other side of that when we're going one side or the other, which will result in this. You can see the screws down in there. I light Loctite, low strength, in case we need to ever remove them for anything. And I think it's every like 60 hours you're supposed to replace the bearings in these T-Motor, Tiger Motor series, this Navigator series. So that's all Loctited up, ready to go. And then basically we're going to take that, with this going out, wires towards the outside, those grooves towards the outside there, that lines up right into that hole. Goes in just like that. We take the other side, same as the groove for the wires goes towards the outside of the piping. That goes in there like that. And that's basically how it's going to look on the end there. At this point, we need to take these bolts that come in the pack with the frame, with the nut, to attach them by the 4 points. Now as you can see, we can't get a screwdriver down on this side. So what we do is we drop the nuts down on the motor side, get those ready to go, and then we put the screws in, and then everything cinches together at that time too. Basically what we end up with is this. That's everything's bolted in there. You can see the slight angle. Shrink wrap tubing, this is recommended. This is a little bit too big. The wires would be easy to put through this initially, but these only shrink down to about half size. So if you use this one, they'd go in easy, but it'd still be very loose. When you use this one, wires are a little tougher to get through, but it shrinks down a lot tighter around the wires. It still see some folding and stuff there. That's normal. What I do is I wait until the motor is mounted and everything's set up like this. Put the heat shrink on then, heat it up with whatever your heat source is to help melt it. This particular one says right on it needs to 125 degrees Celsius to make it shrink. And then once it's shrunk against there, you put the wires down the tube when it's still hot, get everything adjusted, so then when it cools down and gets stiffer, it's exactly where you want it to go. As you can see, on the opposite ends, these just snap in similarly. We won't put screws in at this point because this will actually go into the frame just like that, and the screws will go on the frame to hold it, not only hold this together, but hold it to the frame as well. And that is basically the first step towards building the XL Flying Cinema. This is a prototype, but I'm sure nothing will change on this. If anything does by the final thing, I'll edit a note here to tell you what it is in the video, and we should be ready to go to the next step, constructing the bottom section that these actually go into. All right, thanks. Bye.